later uploaded to Metal3 YouTube channel. Also, if you want to speak up, please please make sure that you raise your hand using the raise hand feature on Zoom, so we don't stomp on each other. And if you want to bring up anything in this meeting, please add it to the agenda. I'll post the link to the meeting notes in the chat in case you don't have it, and also feel free to add your name in the attending list if you haven't done so. Okay, as usual, we'll start with introductions round. So if you're new to the project and like you never attended the meeting in the past, or you want to introduce yourself, then please feel free to speak up. I'm going to mute my microphone for a couple of seconds and just take this opportunity if you want to say hi. I see Leonard, you are raising your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I missed the meeting last week. Last week was my first week at Ericsson, so I'm joining the team, and that's why I'm here. From Finland, I'm very interested in Kubernetes and these things.
Great, cool. Welcome, Leonard.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to introduce themselves? No? Okay, let's move on then. The first item in the agenda today from Ricardo, switching to CentOS 8 stream. Ricardo, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So we started looking into CentOS 8 stream as base images. Not only so on, well, I did this PR for the ironic image, but there's also a comment saying that basically there's also an effort to convert the development environment to CentOS 8. And so one thing that we wanted to make sure that people are aware is that there is a significant difference in size for the base image that is used between CentOS 8, the stable one, and CentOS 8 stream. We're talking about roughly 150, 200 megabytes for the base image, and also the final product is usually bigger. It's usually like 230, 250 megs bigger. So we're looking into why this is happening. It's probably due to the fact that the CentOS 8 stream image is kind of a hybrid image, which is based, like some layers are based on the universal base image, so the UBI image. So it has some like red hat bits, which are that are, of course, open and available, and also some components of systemd that are newer and require more dependencies, more libraries. We're probably so we did some tests, and we are able to reduce the size of the image of the final product, and have an increase in size of around 100, 120 megs, and not 250, which is kind of good. And we'll see if we can reduce it further. But if anyone is also looking into that, feel free to reach to me to have a look and propose like how we can reduce the size further. I will put the changes. I'm not sure if in the same PR that we have now to switch from CentOS 8 to CentOS 8 stream, but yeah, this is ongoing. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. And also, as you mentioned already, we started in Metal3 Dev to switch from CentOS 8 to CentOS 8 stream, and I was looking into a bit and trying it out. Seems not working. There are some problems with KVM in CentOS 8 stream. Currently, I'm facing some problems with virtualization. So, and the image of the size was like that we are getting it from the like official the repo, like CentOS repo. It's like 1.3 gigabytes. So like we'll be using that one like in Metal3 devenv, basically.
Okay, so it's a different one. It's
Yeah.
not the one that I put in Enrique. Okay. Do you have a PR already?
Yeah, I have a PR in project infra.
Okay.
But that's just for testing the Metal3 devenv. So I'm just changing
to see.
Yeah,
Okay.
if the integration does pass.
If you can like write somewhere or tell me which is the image that you're using, so we can maybe compare and see if there are like differences even in packages or the layers as well.
Sure. Yeah, then I'll ping you then in the Slack if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
That's perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, are there any questions regarding CentOS 8 stream? No. Okay, let's move on then. Next item from Zainub or Mahnur, RAID configuration implementation discussion.
Hello, everyone. It's Zainab from Dell team. I want to discuss about the RAID configuration implementation. We are actually extending the VMH for RAID controllers and disk names. So while discussing the implementation method, we came to know that Ironic is not providing in Ironic API, disk names are not provided. So here comes a question which we are stuck here, that what will be the user's query? For example, will user tell us that configure RAID on this disk and this disk? For example, user will provide the disk names, or user will only say configure RAID, and it depends on the Metal3 to configure RAID on any disk. So I want to discuss about this. I discussed this with Airship. There is an open discussion right now. But they were not confirmed sure that which method should be adopted. So I thought of asking and discussing it in Metal3. Hope you guys can help.
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure if someone or the author of the PR in the call
It's about
today.
that PR. Yeah, it's about that PR 148. We have to extend it for physical disk and controller names, right? But we are stuck here that which method to use to implement this thing to get the disk names and controller. For example, RAID, on which disk RAID will be configured. It depends on the user, how user will send query. For example, if user is saying that implement RAID on this disk, then we have the proper name of the disk. Then we have to implement it in that way. Am I clear?
I suggest you really start without any magic around names. Just take them as they are and provide to Ironic. It's still an option that we probably should provide, and it may cover most of the cases, even though it's not optimal. But again, we have researched that in Ironic, and providing any uniform view into device names is exceptionally hard.
Yeah, but Airship suggested that at one point they also said that a user can go and see iTrack if to find the disk names. So then user can mention those disk names, but they were not sure. It's open discussion there. So I discussed that with Ironic community as well. They asked us to discuss it with Airship, because Airship is the main that from where user will send us the query. So I discussed it with Airship, but I need your suggestions. That what do you suggest?
Hi guys.
Oh.
So I'm Mahnoor. I'm working with Zainab on this implementation. And I just wanted to add that I did look at one possible implementation in Redfish where they generate the device names. And it's supposed to be a vendor independent method of generating device names that can also be used for disks. So we were wondering whether it would be possible to do that and just use those identifiers to do the RAID config via BMO.
Hey Manuel, can you detail out your requirement on this PR by commenting on it so that we'll look at it in detail? We are not getting your question.
Okay. So we did send a very detailed email on the airship mailing list. So would it be okay if we just included the Metal3 mailing list over there as well, or should I just add the same details here on this PR?
Or what if you if we can like open a issue in some of the repos? Most probably BMO would be the good place.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also thinking the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
yeah,
it's a new requirement, right?
Yeah, it's a new one.
So yeah,
Good to automate.
sorry. Yeah, then I think it's better to open a new issue rather than commenting on the PR. It's better to open a new issue and then take over the discussion from the issue. I think that's like more suitable if that works for you.
Okay. Yeah.
So just another question. So after our discussion yesterday with the airship community and with the Delhi people, there was one question that's yet to be decided on the airship end, but I would like some input from you guys as well. So on the airship end, there are two possibilities right now. One is that the user actually specifies the RAID controller and disk names, and we don't really know for sure where the user is, how the user is expected to know all this information. So that's an issue. So that will make it very non-user friendly on the airship end. But this is one possibility. And the other possibility is the user just gives the RAID level that they want, and they specify the storage capacity needed, and that's it. And then the BMO or Ironic, one of these two, can look at what hardware is available and just do the selection itself. So do you guys think it would be possible to do that on the BMO side? Or is that completely like out of the question, logic-wise?
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but what you describe is how RAID works now. So you don't specify the disks, so Ironic makes a call based on the RAID type, the expected size, and a few other parameters. Or did I misunderstood you?
I'm not actually sure how it is implemented right now. So who gives these parameters? Like, so you're saying that currently Ironic does that itself? That logic is already there?
If I understand you right, yes. So what we currently have in BMO is very generic RAID specifications. We specify, I don't remember exactly, but we specify RAID level, definitely size of the expected volume, and probably something else, but this is the main two really. And then each driver in Ironic can make a call on which disks to select, and all drivers do it slightly differently, but they're aiming to fulfill your request with the disks that are present on the machine. So that works. And I think that is how it works right now in BMO.
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, for software RAID, we have like the equivalent of root device hints for selecting the volumes, but for hardware RAID, there's nothing equivalent to that. I think that's basically the issue here, right?
Oh, right. Both kinds of RAID have a field to populate physical disks, and it is driver specific. So for software RAID, it's just root device hints. So the same format as for root device hints. For hardware RAID, it's whatever the driver understands. And that may be vendor specific too, even for vendor independent technologies like Redfish.
Right. I don't think we exposed that in the demo yet. I think we only exposed the number of physical disks, I think, from memory.
Yeah, we don't expose controller and physical disks, and I think that's what the proposal in question actually is about. So yeah. 148, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's exactly what it's about. You're right about that.
Okay. Is the opening issue in BMO would work for you? And I hope you got the answer for your question, like last question. Or if not, like we can, if you open an issue and like I can tag some people who are like more worked on that, so we can continue discussion on the issue itself, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Then we can move to the next item. Thanks, Dimitri. There are some links to the RAID docs in Ironic, so maybe you can check that. It's already in the docs. Okay, next item from Mosher, Cert Manager setup for Ironic deployment. Mosher, please take over.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I was working on this Cert Manager setup for Ironic deployment, and I already opened these 3 peers. The main peer is the BMO one, and then supporting peer would be from CAPM3 that has very small changes regarding the deletion of the secret generation. And because these all 3 peers are dependent on each other, so I was not able to test them separately. But what I did that in Metal3 Devenv, I include those branches of those 2 peer from BMO and CAPM3 and have tested those things. And actually this week we were supposed to force merge those these peers, but I got a comment from Shahir Ivanov yesterday, and I addressed his comment and made small changes and tested yesterday evening in the Metal3 Devenv. And Furkat, if you open the Metal3 Devenv, there you can, all of you can check that all the both integration tests and feature tests and upgrade CI test, all of them was successful. And we are thinking to merge it maybe today or tomorrow. So yeah, I just wanted to inform you guys these things.
Okay, I think this needs a rebase. Mosher, there's a conflict with the PR.
Yeah, maybe I will take care of that.
Okay, then it needs a force merge, as far as I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we do that, I need to change the branches of Metal3 Devenv to the previous original configuration, and then we need to force merge the Metal3 Devenv PR also.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding these changes? I'm not sure if I'm struggling to pronounce the name. If there are like more comments from the I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but yeah, if there are like
From
more
Shahir.
comments, yeah.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
there is
he
not, then
approved it. He approved it, and he's fine with the change now.
okay. Then we can go ahead if no one has objections on that. If you didn't have time or like chance to review the PRs, please go ahead. It would be nice to have more reviews on the PRs. Okay. Are there any questions regarding these changes, regarding the cert manager setup? No? Okay. Thanks, Moshe. Let's move on. Next item from Michael and Jan. It's about adding Renovate to Metal3 DevEnv.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'd like to propose adding Renovate to Metal3 DevEnv. So if you're not aware, Renovate is a GitHub app that automates dependency upgrades for you. We spend a lot of time manually bumping versions of various bits of software in the Metal3 DevEnv to try and keep it up to date. And sometimes we encounter broken versions of things, and then we have to end up testing it or rolling it back or fixing forwards. I think it would be nice to have some automation around this kind of chore that we do relatively frequently. This is something Gan and I were looking at again yesterday, just because we were looking at the different versions of things in the Metal3 DevEnv. We're already using Renovate in a repository called Airship Dev Tools, which we use to build the images for continuous integration that Metal3 project uses, and it's been quite successful there. So I wrote up this in a proposal about a month ago. I think the term lazy consensus has been thrown around at least once with regard to this proposal. So I'm hoping that if there are no objections, that I can start to take an action on this. We can add the Renovate GitHub app, or I'll need an owner in the Metal3, the Metal3 GitHub organization to add the Renovate GitHub app to the Metal3 DevEnv repository only. So this only affects versions of external software in Metal3 DevEnv and not Metal3 projects themselves. And to go ahead and actually take this action and remove this chore from our day-to-day maintenance of the Metal3 DevEnv repository.
This would be great to get in place as soon as possible if people yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So this would be great to have it.
Sorry, Jan, I had to mute you. Your voice is very broken, or it's only me.
No, I can't hear Jan clearly. But I think what Jan said, if
Yeah,
I
it's
understood,
the same. It was
he quite likes he's +1ing this.
Okay, are there any questions regarding the proposal? I think it's a good idea to have the Renovate because we are seeing some good gains when we are using it in Airship DevTools. At least you don't have to each time like update the dependencies, going in every repo and like updating it. It will do it automatically, and also, as Michael mentioned, will like fix the version that like which is stable, and will be able to catch the errors early rather than like breaking like CI fully. So I'm +1 to the idea at least.
Yep, I'm in favor of this.
Thanks. If you have time, please review the PR. I'm not sure if you can put a lazy consensus on this because it has been there like for 1 month already. maybe we can take it to the next community meeting that if we agree, we can put a lazy consensus. Until then, we will hope that we'll get more reviews on that.
I can also drop a message to the mailing list if that would, if this needs to be receive wider attention, but hopefully most people wouldn't notice, and pull requests would sort of pop up on the Metal3 devenv with version upgrades that we can test and merge to keep Metal3 devenv repository up to date. If more needs to be done on this PR and we need to wait another week, then I can just add the words lazy consensus somewhere on this PR. Otherwise, I was hoping we could sort of implement this sooner. What do you think, Furkat?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. We can put a lazy consensus if there are no objections, even like this week, if that's okay for everyone, or like.
Okay, sure. Sounds good. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I'll take care of it like after the meeting then, if there are no objections to put a lazy consensus until the next week. Thanks. Okay, let's move on. Next item from Jan.
How about now? Is the mic still?
Yeah, Jan, sorry, your voice is very broken.
Okay.
Well, okay, I think I can take care of it. So I think it's mostly regarding the remediation controller that we have a PR in CapM3. So the PR is open. There were some reviews from people who are mostly working on the proposal and then implementation. So I think the main concern here is should we keep the controller within CapM3 repo or create a new repo for the controller? Because if I'm not mistaken, there was a concern that the controller should not be part of the CapM3, and it should be like separate repo as we have, for example, for IPAM, IP Address Manager. And I think that's what Jan wants to know, the thoughts on that. Like, should we keep the controller within the CapM3 repo or create a new repo for the controller? Like, are there any thoughts on that? What would be the way forward with that?
Is there something particular driving the idea of putting it in a new repo?
I think yes. As far as I know, Red Hat people were suggesting maybe, or like, I think in the proposal it was said that it will not be landing in CapM3. I might be wrong, but if someone has like who had worked on the proposal or like were involved, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm not sure if I can find the.
I don't recall if that was the reason, but I think right now this controller is limited only to the reboot API. So the only thing it does is it tries to reboot the host. If the host does not come up again, like back to the normal, even after the rebooting a couple of times, then it just gives up. So that's the only thing that it does right now. And then the idea was to extend it in the future so that we have other like advanced remediation logics, like apart from rebooting. And I think for that reason, Nir and Jan were discussing like maybe to take it outside of the CapM3 because it might grow in the future and like there might be more functionalities added, and maybe that was the reason, but I'm not 100% sure.
Jan, I see your hands raised. Please go ahead. Jan, if you're speaking, we don't hear you. Well, there should be a problem with microphone, maybe. I'm not sure, Zane, if you got the answer to your question.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of aware of some of the history of this because this was kind of implemented first in OpenShift in the we still run a very old fork of what was then CatVM. And so this remediation stuff is in there. And it was done by the Near and Bighoff, the same folks.
Yeah.
And my understanding was that they were going to push upstream with the cluster API that this kind of interface would become part of the cluster API. Like the cluster API would, every cluster API provider would provide some interface for rebooting a machine. And I don't know what happened with that, but my personal sense would be that this should probably stay inside CapM3, unless there's some particular reason why there's a technical problem with that. Like, I don't think it's necessary to create another repo. I'm not going to stop you all from creating another repo, but I don't feel a particular need. But other people are much closer to this implementation, so they would know more about it than me.
Yeah, I had the same feeling that it should maybe stay in the CapM3, but if there are like strong motivations to take this out, maybe that's the way. I see the hand raised, Firuz and Jan.
Yeah. So Zane, to your point, it's the integration with the cluster API remediation is already done. So right now, cluster API allows you to use the external remediation if you don't want to rely on the one that is already it comes with cluster API, which is just deleting the machine, which is perfectly fine for the VM cloud infrastructure, but not for the bare metal. So it's actually Jan and Nir who worked on the cluster API side as well to enable the external remediation. So if you want to, from the cluster API to use the external, then there is one field, and then it will just come to the CapM3 and just rely on this controller to do the job. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if this is implementing part of the cluster API, then it makes sense to me to keep it in CapM3.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Yeah, I just checked the chat that Jan was saying that we can take this to the next community meeting again, hopefully without some audio issues. And he thinks that there's no technical reason to take it out from CapM3, and he wants to stay to have this controller inside the CapM3 and to keep it in CapM3. And
it sounds to me like that everyone wants it in there, so there's no technical reason, and there's let's just go ahead and say keep it in there. I don't think we need to do it anymore.
Then yeah, Jan, if you want, we can take to the next community meeting and discuss hopefully. And I hope the Nir and Hof, if they will join the meeting, or we can continue the discussion or the PR maybe, if we decide all that it needs to be stay in CapM3. I hope that covers what you wanted, Jan. Okay, are there any questions regarding this? Okay, cool. Let's move on then. Thanks. Next item from Zane. Call for lazy consensus on image builder API.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little 2 weeks ago, I think. And since then, there have been lots of reviews from people, so thank you very much for that. And I've updated the proposal, and I'm pretty happy with it where it is right now. So if there are any more reviews, please take a look. Otherwise, can we set a date for a later consensus on this, maybe by next week? Because I'm kind of starting to look at implementation on this, so it'd be good to get that done. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up now about that?
Yeah, I see lots of people already commented, and it has been a quite good review. Are there any objections, or like, can we put lazy consensus on the proposal, or like we'll give it a 1 week till the next week, till the next community meeting, to have a like more reviews on that? Are there any thoughts on that?
Plus one for that, I can put also the just a comment on that. And if no objections, I think we should be good to merge.
Sure. If you can do it the same for the Michael's proposal, that would be nice, Feroz.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on then. We agreed to put the lazy consensus till the next week then, if there are no objections. Is that fine with you, Zane?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next one is also the same, I think, from Zane.
Yeah, so this one was discussed on the mailing list. This is updating the project config to stop the self-approval of PRs. So basically right now, if you are an approver and you post a PR, then it automatically gets marked as approved, which means the next person to LGTM it merges it. So we want to turn that off, and I think there was pretty much consensus on the mailing list. Dimitri was the only person who had a question, and I replied to his comment on the mailing list. So Dimitri, are you happy at this point, or are there any other objections to going ahead and merging this?
Yeah, it wasn't really an objection, more of like, let's proceed with caution to not overburden ourselves with a process. The process itself is pretty reasonable.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think, like, absolutely don't, like, throw away all brain power and just, like, follow the process blindly. Like, everything, you know, there are a lot of useful heuristics, but you always have to take into account the context, and I hope people continue to do that. But my concern is that the lack of process at the moment means that everyone is kind of reluctant to approve anything. So I'm hoping we'll actually speed it up by being more clear about what the requirements are, so that, you know, people won't feel reluctant to actually merge stuff. They can feel confident that they're acting within the rules and merging stuff, and just do it when there's two people to merge patch, and that's all you need. You don't need to wait for everyone on every patch. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So that's cool. And unless there are any other objections, I'd like to propose that we merge this one. And I do not have access rights to do that. So somebody who does is going to have to approve it.
I can give LGTM. It already has approved because the DAG is in the approvers list. So I think this is going to be the last one. So I can LGTM if everyone is okay.
Okay, thank you.
Let's get it first. Thanks.
Okay, I have a question regarding that. So as far as I know, a proof is not removed, right? Like once you put the proof, then even though the patch changes, it stays there. It's just the LGTM that's like removed if you change the patch.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And would it be the same after this merge?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That doesn't change.
Okay. See. Yeah, but that sounds good to me also. Like if someone, like if you have rights and there are no objections with this, I think it's good to go already. Okay, let's move on then.
Next one.
Next one.
Well.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So one of the requirements for us to move from the sandbox in CNCF to incubating eventually is that we need to have a process for reporting security issues. So I'm currently looking into this because we have some people in Red Hat whose kind of goal it is for Metal3 to eventually become incubating. So there appears to be two options here. Looking at what, so KubeVirt is a project that recently went through this process and became incubating. So kind of looking at what they did. And they have set up some stuff within Red Hat. So there's a mailing list that is, I think, initially monitored by a couple of people in Red Hat, which is, I can't even remember. It's like KubeVirt security or something at Red Hat. And I think they may even have an alias for their own domain. And kind of anyone from the community who wants to join that list can, if they have kind of a reason to. Obviously, you want to keep security issues reasonably tight, but you know, if someone's working on a distribution or a product that they need to know about security issues, they can join the list, kind of thing. And so Red Hat Product Security would act as the CVE numbering authority. So if you have an issue that comes up, they handle it for KubeVirt. As in, they'll get your CVE number and coordinate disclosure and all that kind of stuff. The other option is that GitHub apparently is now a CVE numbering authority. And you can do stuff through GitHub. You can release security advisories through GitHub, and it is tied to, so visibility of those before they're published is tied to ownership of the GitHub organization. So you would have to be basically everyone who is an administrator in the GitHub organization. I don't even know who that is, it's not me, would be able to see those security issues before they're made public. And then you can request GitHub to get a CVE number for you. It takes a couple of days, but they kind of review the issue, make sure it's important enough to get a CVE, and go through that. So those are kind of our two options. I would personally prefer, well, okay, I still have to talk to Red Hat Product Security about whether this is something that I'd actually be willing to do for us, but I feel like they probably would. I personally prefer to go that route just because it gives us a little bit more control over the process. I don't know who's going to be reviewing this stuff at GitHub and whether they understand the context. Whereas at Red Hat, I expect we can find someone who's kind of working on OpenShift and understands the context a bit better. But that said, it has to be a community process where anyone can be involved. So if anyone has an opinion on that, I guess let me know, and I'll post a kind of more formal proposal once I have some more information. But yeah, just wanted to put that out there. That's something I'm looking into.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds very nice. And I'm not aware of much like the policy, how the other projects are taking care of it. I know that the CV is like there will be like as you already mentioned, like CV like with numbers, and then they will like notify the like projects with warnings that something needs to be updated or something needs to be like downgraded or something like that. So like they will take an action on that. But yeah, it would be nice if you like put some more information on, like, I don't know, in proposal or like in mailing list, so that more people can like have more idea how it will be like taken care of. That would be nice. And like good to hear that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to talk to trying to find the right person in product security here to talk to make sure we can get that set up within Red Hat, and then I can make a proposal on mailing list, make sure that everyone's happy with the arrangements.
That sounds good. Thanks, Sam.
So certainly my goal would be to get you know, people from a bunch of companies represented there to kick it off.
So cool. Are there any objections, thoughts, ideas?
I have a question. Is the plan to enable this policy in order to be satisfied to move to the incubating project, or is it just that we want to have this policy to improve the project from a security perspective in general?
I mean, I think both. I think it's a good thing to do. It's the right thing to do, so that we have a way that people can report security vulnerabilities to us, you know, privately, and we can kind of coordinate the fixes before they immediately go public. And then it's also a necessary thing to do if we ever want to move to incubating. So
yeah,
for good reason. So yeah. So I don't think we need to pick one. I think it's it's the right thing to do, and it will help us in the future. So
yeah, perfect. I just saw that we've already started like thinking about and moving to the incubating, and there is a process started. But I completely agree that even if we do it in the future, like planning to move to incubating, this will help quite a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So speaking of moving to incubating, the other thing we will have to do is to start versioning the bare metal host API. So that is a discussion that will come up in future, but I don't have anything particular to say about it now. But no, that's probably something that's going to keep coming up. So eventually we'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, I was wondering, is there any issue in BMO regarding this API in BMO, or maybe we should open to track it or not forget it, or like
there is one issue opened that is actually requesting the release process for the BMO. I think it's still active. We could probably continue on that issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for the discussion. Are there any further questions, comments on the policy for reporting the security issues? No. Okay, then I think we don't have any more items. So is there any topic that's not on the agenda yet, and do you still want to take it up to the discussion? Since we have a bit like 10 minutes before we close the meeting. No? Okay, then thanks everybody for joining. Have a wonderful rest of the week and talk to you next week, Wednesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.